35 organizations, including Multimedia Group Limited, have received over $2.5 million in funding from Star Ghana to help ensure peaceful, credible and issue-based campaigning ahead of the November elections.
Chairperson of the steering committee, Professor Akila Kwasoya, says the most pressing concern for now is managing the incendiary tone of relations between the two major political parties, adding that political platforms should be used to discuss pertinent development issues rather than launching attacks on personalities.
Star Ghana opened the 2016 election call in October 2015. After a rigorous selection process, 35 media and civil society organizations have been issued grants to undertake activities that will ensure a credible election and promote good governance. Speaking to Joy News, the chairperson of the Star Ghana Steering Committee charged leaders of political parties to focus on issues of national interest when they mount campaign platforms.
I realize that there is much discussion of fears and worries about what is coming. I think we should be careful not to exaggerate the fears. They are real, but there are ways of managing them. In particular, the concern which we have is about the tone of relations between the leading political parties, the incendiary language, the personal attacks. These tend to take away from the question of issues for discussion. Our concern is to see to what extent one can encourage all players in the electoral process to address issues and practice.
Acting Director of the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, Mrs. Francisca Ashiti, who signed the grant document on behalf of the media, says the biggest challenge for media houses, especially in election years, is identifying an independent source of funding.
One thing that has always hampered the effective role of the media has been source of funding, an independent source of funding. So in this election year, with this money coming, although it would not cover everything, it will go a long way in helping the media to play its role.
Multimedia Group Limited was also awarded a grant for a project entitled People, Policy and Power, which seeks to promote issue-based campaigning.
In the 2012 election, that was the first time they approached the media to try and help us ensure that the elections were peaceful. And especially in the post-election period, when there was the election adjudication, Joy News played a key role. We were partners with them. If you can remember, we had this jingle going around, let's keep the peace. And we do believe that we contributed significantly to ensuring that that entire 8-month process, even though we are beaming live from the courthouse, the issues that were going on, Ghanaians got to appreciate and understand the issues.
Headquarters in the Ashanti Regional Capital, Kumasi, are unhappy with the decision by city authorities to impose a levy on their daily operations.
The Ashanti Region branch of the Kaya Youth Association says it will be highly unreasonable for the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly to expect an already impoverished group such as the porters to pay market tolls from their meager incomes. Its secretary, Dauda Ibrahim, says the decision must be reversed.
On the streets of Kumasi, they balance heavy loads on their heads. It's a daily struggle for survival. Over 19,000 registered porters live and operate in the Ashanti region. The porters, mostly from northern Ghana, are in the south in search of greener pastures. But they are taxed daily by city collectors. The life of a head porter is very rough. Many are homeless, and the young girls and women are prey for would-be rapists. Mr. Ibrahim said the Kaya need more systemic support to give them a better life. Meanwhile, Ashanti Regional Director of Department of Gender, Augustina Jimfi, says the ministry is focusing on improving the lives of Kayayes.
We are aware, and it's even in a project that we can get a shelter for them so that they can get a safe place to sleep in order not to be exposed to all these things. And even if they get pregnant, there is a policy policy that they can still go to school. If they don't want the school that they are in, they can change school and complete. And today's workshop is solely for Kaya youth. And as I said, the objective is to let the Kaya youth know that they can be Kaya youth forever. So whilst they are in that trade, they can also learn a skill that will help them get out of the Kaya youth and be well employed.
The headquarters say, as things stand now, Ghana is a country in which the vulnerable are made even more vulnerable.
The off-site team tasked to work on the validation of salary arrears of teachers has so far suspended its work.
The suspension, according to the General Secretary of the National Association of Graduate Teachers, NAGRATS, is due to financial constraints. The validation team, which initially expected just about 27,000 applications, has so far been overwhelmed by applications in excess of some 60,000, with more expected from late applicants. The numbers, according to Stanislaus Nabome, has made the work of the team very daunting.
We're expecting a total of about 27 to 30 application forms for validation. But what was received was in excess of, 27 to 30,000 forms. But what was received was in excess of 60,000 forms. The job was simply overwhelming. So they've broken off to reconvene, and gathering a team like that to work involves funding, so that the GES can mobilize around with the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, Minister of Education, Minister of Employment, to get the funding to continue.
Validation exercise should be over by the 15th of April.
Yeah.
Now, you just mentioned to us that they broke.
Yes.
And what's necessitated the break?
You see, this thing.
So now I'm thinking the deadline of 15th April is not really in the balance.
Just not. Because when they started, they had no deadline of 15th April. But when they broke off, within that period, see, the whole of the audit team at headquarters had to virtually close with every worker at the validation site. The resumption of work of the off-site team, I don't have the specific date because I'm not on it. I have told you this, I'm not on it. But I expect that the off-site team should not take long to resume work, knowing that 16th April is a deadline. The numbers they have to work, and that they are expecting that there may still be inflow of applications from the regions. They should know the task ahead of them.
Because blame them for the delay.
I will blame them for the delay because we can't take people's lives for granted. It's people's lives in the balance.
Parliament on Tuesday began debating the Petroleum Bill before the House.
The amendments, among other things, seek to change the pricing of petroleum revenue dynamics. The bill, when passed, will make it mandatory for the service providers to publish the prices in the media and also on the National Petroleum Authority website. The pricing will also not depend on any formula.
As some of us don't have the Parent Act before us, we're not able to follow the amendments being proposed by the committee. Mr. Speaker, that is why you yourself inquired into whose responsibility it is to do that. So if you can link it up with the Parent Act, we'll then be able to follow it. Otherwise, he himself was, in jitters a bit.
I think what is being proposed is that in addition to the publication to the national dailies, a website of the MPA should also be where the prices, the ESPON prices, will be published. So reference here has been made to the publication of the
the point being raised by the honourable minority leader is that what is the provision?
The ex-refinery prices and ex-pump prices of petroleum products based on the prescribed petroleum pricing formula. Here, it is putting the price determination on the MPA, which is being repealed. That is why the bill is seeking, if you read the bill, It says that the National Petroleum Authority Act.
Honorable Chairman of the committee, this is a very simple question.
On prices of petroleum products based on the prescribed pricing formula. Here in the amendment, we are now adding the web.
Service providers are not.
The service providers are not only publishing it. Remember, we are now shifting.
Honorable, why don't you say that in line with the bill, what you want to do is that now you are not going to determine, it's not going to be based on any formula. It's not going to be based on any formula, and now it's been determined by those, what is their name? By the service providers. And as a result of, yes, so now that responsibility that they based on the formula, we are removing the formula.
We are amending the bill. Right, Honourable Speaker, we are amending the bill.
Honourable Chairman, if they did understand it, they would not raise issues. Yes, so Speaker, he should explain what it means by the amendment being proposed. I'm determined to listen to the chairman. Let him.
That we are, quite frankly, first of all, changing the National Petroleum Authority to the service providers, but we are also adding the web, the internet, the website of the National Petroleum Authority.
It is not about website. If you look at
we are changing the National
really
Petroleum
about the
Authority.
issue of formula.
So we are changing
the
National Petroleum Authority to the National Service Provider, the Petroleum Service Providers, because the National Petroleum Authority is no longer responsible for the bi-weekly determination of prices. So it's the National Petroleum Service Providers who are now responsible for publishing prices.
We need to read the whole thing.
But we are simply saying that in publishing the prices, apart from publishing it in the national media, the two national media, they should include the website of the MPA.
Meanwhile, some minority members of parliament have been speaking to Joy News about why they do not support what has become known as a spy bill.
They contend that whilst there are existing laws that allows governments request private conversation of an individual, seeking to make it wholesale will allow law enforcers to take issues for granted.
One is interested in, has terrorist activity and intelligence issues been heightened in the country? So you would want to listen to communications that are going on among the citizenry. Okay, because when terrorists are planning something in your country, it doesn't even relate directly to maybe the people that are going to execute it, but other team support they have. So in my personal opinion, I thought the timing of pushing this bill just coincide with the Gitmo 2, and they might have prompted why the current government is pushing for introduction of that bill, so that they could listen to communications of people. But we know that, yes, like a surgical blade in the hands of the surgeon, it will give life. It will give life, but in the hands of a criminal, it can kill. Okay, the spy bill, that is the way I see it. Let me draw your mind to, VVIP lounge of the airport. It is not supposed to be used by a certain category of people, by rule. But what is happening? We've seen cocaine going through there. Simply because one person can see some big man somewhere and use that facility. We abuse laws, we abuse rules. People have said there are various laws whose elements achieves the same purpose for which reason this bill is being introduced. That makes it redundant to begin with. Okay, so if it comes to timing, we have laws that are doing the same work anyway. I am saying this explicit one has become necessary maybe because of Gitmo 2, where you want to really get an upfront opportunity to listen to. But we are saying it's subject to abuse.
Now we have to understand that the current position of the law is that if government wants to listen into anybody's call or record anybody's call, government is allowed to go to the court on the blind side of the person involved, get a court warrant, take it to the telecommunication service providers and tell them that I have a court warrant to listen in to this person's calls or to record this person's calls. And the law allows it. And this is how it has been. What government is seeking to do by this spy bill is to say that I want to be able to pick up a phone, just call, say, Airtel, and tell Airtel that record Mr. So-and-so's recordings in the next 48 hours for me without having to go to court. So that if after 48 hours government has what it wants, then it doesn't have to go to court. We think it's a bad law. I have heard people mention that it may be needed for the purposes of fighting crime and terrorism and all that. The point is this: if government has good grounds to believe that somebody is a threat and it is so urgent, the right response ought to be arresting the person and investigating. If it turns out after 48 hours that you have no reasons to continue holding the person, you free the person.
And now it for the news this morning. We have a couple of your messages. We want to relay a couple of them to you. Yeah. And then if you have a lot more you want to send us, this is the platform. 0560 800,000 is a number for our WhatsApp platform. And then you send us, we'll relay them, just like we're about to do. Right. Same for now.
Yeah, this one says, please, Roland, we need Joy News help in Nkwanta. Okay. It's about the police. Any small thing here is big money for the police. Okay, you have to give us a lot more details.
Well, this one is a bit vague,
that.
I think.
Yeah.
Are you saying they are taking bribes? Allegedly? They allegedly so account. Allegedly.
Okay, this one says, as an electorate, what do you make of the pilot registration exercise organized by the EC over the weekend in 20 selected constituencies, 2 from each of the 10 regions of Ghana, to test the efficiency of its enhanced biometric registration kits? This is like you are setting an agenda for us here on the show. Thank you, but you can tell us, how you felt about that exercise.
I think we discussed that on Monday.
Yes, we did. But if you didn't have your say, you can always have your say on it. From Dr. Abedi Kwadaso, a.k.a. Big Joe Shoes, when the economist speaks, the intellectuals listen attentively. Dr. Emisa Arthur should stop his welcoming guests and tourist visit and rather visit, is it a hashtag, Dr. Baumia, to get ideas on economic issues? Yate, thanks for your message. This one says, good morning, my sister and my brother in the studio out there. I believe we should surely have a peaceful election this year, and I'm using this opportunity to tell all the youth in Mafe, Agbaji Copper inside Central in the Volta region, they should exercise patience, and all of them should go and vote on the 7th of November, because some of them are saying they will not vote because they have lights without meters from Ernest Akwachia.
They have lights and no meters.
Yeah,
hey,
I'm not sure.
Use lights free. You don't want it. We have this one for Michael Lamini. It's been a while.
Yeah. Okay, Michael says, Mrs. Osu Abwaji and Mr. Roland Walker, please, good morning, and hope you're all doing well by the grace of God.
Well.
May the good Lord help you in all your endeavors.
Amen.
And may you have a fruitful working day.
Amen.
God bless you for all your good works doing for Mother Ghana. All the time, remember, you're all in my prayers.
Amen.
And I am most surprised, Michael.
Today's message is different.
Yeah, it's so different. Charlie. Yeah. Hey, behave. All right, more messages when we come back. We're doing the headlines for you, and then we'll read a lot more of your messages.
We'll be right back.